Sloan with the Lynx broadcast team. You probably don't remember the last time when you were here talking about two very high volume pick and roll teams, and you were saying in the NBA you basically saw the two different coverages, but in the WNBA it's been upwards of 8. So I just randomly want to ask why you feel like that is, and maybe any other things that have just caught your eye that have been kind of a learning curve in your first journey.
Yeah, really. I love the question, firstly. I think it's honestly, in terms of the whys, I'm not sure why there is more variety in pick and roll coverage, but I definitely enjoy it because I think it makes it a lot harder, especially for a team like us where we use a lot of pick and roll. I think this is a key part of their development because now our players are really learning about what solution's advantageous for each type of cover. And I do think it's a lot harder when you have that variety in cover instead of just seeing maybe the same 2-3 things every time. So I do think it's been actually a steeper learning curve for us, but it's something that's going to help us in the long term, just in terms of having complete clarity for what we're trying to achieve. And I think it's really interesting as it pertains to tonight because I think that heavy nail with the drop, I think I really think it's a smart cover. I think I was speaking about it today just with a coaching friend, and I think the next layer to how you counter covers like that is doing smarter things off the ball with how you're initiating dynamic one-on-ones. And I think it's I think the first layer is spacing, but then it's dynamic spacing in terms of what you're trying to do to basically punish that nail defender for committing to being so flat and having that heavy nail presence. So in all honesty, we tried some things in that the last time we played here. I was trying something completely new, which was a double pin, which we actually got some success out of it. And it's something we just literally came up with in practice. We'd never seen it being used before. And we got some good looks out of it, but I think it limits us because you're really just getting a catch and shoot 3 above the break. And I think there's more things we can do to create bigger advantages. So that's going to be an important theme for us tonight in terms of, when we play against covers, we want to do it so well that the defense has to feel like they need to change the cover. And it means that if we're not doing it to that level, then we're not executing our coverage solutions well enough. But that's really how we want to play against any team in this league where, they feel like our pick and roll is so unstoppable that they've got to do something completely different. Does that answer the question?
No, I appreciate it.
Great.
Coming off such of a strong defensive game, tonight knowing that Minnesota has such a strong offensive team, what are some of the things you're hoping carries over into this game?
Yeah, really interesting question again. And I think we actually said to the team with the scout today, it's actually a very different game with the game plan. And I think against Washington, we're really putting a huge emphasis on packing the paint and our gaps and really challenging, protecting the rim, protecting the paint at all costs, and encouraging kickouts to get contested threes. But I think that was more of a post-orientated offense we were playing against. This is a lot more guard-orientated with some really unique actions, a lot of pick and roll like us. So it requires very different covers and different positions off the ball. But, as it relates to the last game, I think, we were so disappointed in that last game because a lot of it really was transition. And I think that's going to actually be more important than our half court tonight. Minnesota lead the league in virtually every transition metric there is in terms of pace rate, transition frequency, all these numbers. So we didn't help ourselves in that last game. And I think that was actually a new learning experience for me and for us in terms of we are one of the highest volume teams in the league for shots in the paint. Okay, so we call them bronze medals. So it's like obviously we try and get rim twos, but we will settle for non-rim paint twos. But the problem is when you miss those, it really puts your defense in a huge stress because it allows the other team to get out and run, and we can't get set. So I think that's why, it really starts when you talk about shot quality, shot profile. I think, it's not just talking about the argument. It's a lot more nuanced than just like mid-ranges or poor shots. It's not about that. It's other things like if we shoot more shots at the rim and we shoot more threes, it's actually easier to get our transition defense set. So I think that's really important for us tonight. If we are taking non-rim twos, they got to be really good quality ones. So it kind of starts there, and then it leads into the half court actions, and it's similar to kind of what we do with our Iverson stuff. I really like what Minnesota do out of their double drag. It's called 77. A lot of teams call it that, but I love how kind of they sequence it so it looks like a double drag, but then there are lots of different wrinkles. So similar to what we try and do with our Iverson series. So I think when you see teams do that, it's much harder to guard because you don't know what the final action may be, and even though it starts the same way. So it's not like you're just seeing 6 different plays, but each one's completely different, and you just sniff it out immediately.
Having Sylvia on your coaching staff, someone who knows the Lynx really well, are you asking her for any specifics on a game like that?
Yeah, always in coach meetings. So Brittany, I know our assistant coach Brittany Donaldson had the scout, but she obviously had a great discussion with Sil on all the personnel and the specifics of the scout. And then obviously just a really special night for her tonight. I'm so glad that we're going to be able to experience it. We always start our film sessions with something funny or fantastic, and today it was a fantastic. We had some of Sil's highlights, so the group really enjoyed that, and we're just really proud for her, and I'm so grateful that we have Sil here on the staff. She's just such an incredible human being to be around. So she's helping so much on and off the court, and a big part of what we're doing here.
What did you think watching those highlights? Like Cheryl was saying yesterday, that like a Sylvia Fowles doesn't really exist anymore right now. But what was it like seeing it, like just the dominance?
Yeah. So what was actually funny was we decided to try and do it on something we need to get better at as a team, which was rim protection. So there was an ESPN piece which Maisel Milan, it's basically our PD analyst, assistant video coordinator. Maisel found this clip, and rim protection is something we've been emphasizing a lot. So it was Sil's highlights on verticality and protecting the rim, and it was obviously incredible to watch.
What was her reaction to that? Was she embarrassed? Was she
No,
go?
a bit of both. Like, obviously an incredibly humble person. I think Sil's humility is just one of the many things that stands out.
Let Bridget scored her season low against this team. Obviously, a lot of familiarity, but how do you approach just game number 2 with someone who's such an important part of your offense?
Yeah, I think I do think we've come a long way as a team since then, and that's what you'd hope as an expansion team, but also credit to the group. I think each game I genuinely feel like we're getting better and learning new things, and I think. As an expansion team, unfortunately, there are some games like that where you're going to really get hit hard first, and it's really about how you respond. And I did think coming out of that game, kind of the next stretch of games, I did see a much better intent. And I think, one of our values as a team is connected. And that was one game where we weren't connected in terms of our execution, even just simple things, which is very unlike us in terms of getting organized for our half-court sets on dead balls or out-of-bounds plays. We just weren't on the same page. So that was some really good learning for us to actually watch the film after that first Minnesota game. So, I think we're all excited to be able to come back here, get one more chance to have a crack at the best team in the league. That's how you learn and get better.